Welcome to Will at Work. I'm Kevin. Today we got the A500 Mini, based off of the Amiga 500 home computer slash, I'm going to say CD32, because it also comes with a CD32 styled gamepad, although it's USB and it looks a lot better. This is capable of playing 25 Amiga games. I'm sure there may be a way to patch it and get more on there, as well as it does come with a mouse, a USB optical mouse, not mechanical like the original Amiga mouse, and like I said, the gamepad. There's 3 USB ports on it, so you can use another one for a keyboard, and as the actual keyboard on the unit itself does not function. It's tiny, as you can see. This box is tiny, but it lets you play a variety of games. The only thing I'm not sure about, and it's 25 Amiga games. I don't think they're necessarily all A500 games. They could be, but the thing is with the Amiga line of computers, if you forget the very first one, the Amiga 1000, and you go through the series of computers, there was a large desktop model that you would think of as a standard business model, which was the Amiga 2000. So the 1000 came out first, and then they eventually refined it and came out with the 2000, which was this big machine, and then they made this the A500, which was a sort of simplified version of the 2000. It had the same processor in it and the same memory, as far as I recall, and all the other special chips that are inside Amigas to do all the fun things that it does. And the disk drive up here, no hard drive, but you didn't need one back then. You can add one later though, on the side or maybe on the back. So then they did that, and then after a few years they came out with the Amiga 3000, which did not really improve very much on the architecture. It did add a larger 1 megabyte of memory block for the graphics, and it allowed you to add more RAM to the system itself, but it didn't, for instance, the Amiga had 8-bit sound. It never went to 16-bit sound. It could display 16 colors at once. It never improved on that. It had some different blitter modes that it could do, hold and modify, but it didn't change that much. So your A500 and your A2000 and then your 3000 were all able to play, essentially, with some compatibility issues on the 3000. We're all able to play the same games. And then Commodore, being the weird company that they were, they eventually came out with the Amiga 1200 and the Amiga 4000 and the Amiga 600. And so the 4000 and the 1200 were kind of like the 2000 and the 500, in the sense of the 4000 had a new graphics chip in it that could do 256 color graphics on screen at once, as well as a near photographic quality 256,000 hold and modify mode. And but it didn't improve. Again, they didn't improve the sound chips or anything. I think they were trying to go for some compatibility reasons here. I don't know, but it was just some graphical improvements more than less anything else. And they a hard drive and all this sort of stuff. And then they basically created another machine called the A600, which was like a dumbed down version of the A500. So it wasn't well liked. Let's put it like that. Didn't sell well. 1200 did really good for what it was at that point in Commodore's life. The 4000 did all right. And then at the very end, Commodore released the CD32 game system, which was based on the 1200 architecture. It only added one additional microchip that didn't do very much, and yeah. So my point is that with this one here, I don't know if the games that are all on here are just the 16 color games, or if they added Amiga 1200 games. I think they probably added Amiga 1200 games. Let's see, you can do 50 Hz, 60 Hz, and 720p HD via HDMI. 25 classic Amiga games included. We are going to play this, by the way. The A500 Mini is compatible with hundreds of classic Amiga games. Games must be legally obtained. So it says WHD load, load your own WHD load package games via USB. Now I don't know how you do that. You know, there's probably instructions online or in the manual, etc. But it comes with all these games built in, so you can play all of them, which is pretty cool. And you know, like I'm pretty sure Zool came out, but I don't think that was Amiga 1200 only. I don't really see anything here that necessarily is. I think Pinball Fantasies was. Pinball Dreams, I think maybe was 16-bit style graphics. But it's hard to say. I don't know. They might have some on here that are compatible with the 1200 versus the 500. Anyway, let's plug it all in, wire it up, and let's see how it works. It just came out recently, a little bit earlier in Europe, and now it's out in the United States. And they'll probably come out with an A500 Maxi at some point, since they did that with the Commodore 64 and the VIC-20. Not sure I'll get the Maxi. Kind of just think it's more or less sort of like a Raspberry Pi with a really cool case. It's kind of fun to have the really cool case and everything. So maybe, depending on the price. However, you know, it has the same games as this one, so it's not that appealing to me in terms of a collector's item. And you know, since it's not an actual Amiga where it's going to run on floppy disks and that kind of thing, it also has no retro value to me either. But this one does. This one's cool. T for T. Keep your little kids away. Alright, let's switch over. Let's check it out. Here we go. We're looking at the Amiga 500, or the A500 as it is. Right, I think we got to set up the language. If I can just use the buttons on the controller here to just say A. Yeah, looks like that's it. Hit B for next. Try 50 Hz output. Let's run the test. Doesn't look like that's going to work. Oh, well, looks like it's all right. Okay, I guess it did work. All right. For some reason, it wants you to run it in PAL instead of NTSC. That's fine. Most of the games were designed for PAL anyway. Let's see, we've got Alien Breed 3D, Another World, Arcade Pool, All-Terrain Racing. No, let's just say no to Battle Chess, Cadaver, California Games, Chaos Engine, Dragon's Breath, F-16 Combat Pilot, Kickoff 2, Lost Patrol, Paradroid, Ball Dreams, Project X Special Edition Quack, Sentinel, Sound of the Sorcerer, of course, Speedball 2, of course, Stunt Car Racer, Supercars 2, Titus the Fox, Worms, The Director's Cut, Zool. So, I mean, it's a fairly decent collection of titles. Of course, there's a lot of people out there hacking these things to add more to it. But there's plenty of emulation stations out there that have all those games in there. So this is like an attempt to make a Doom type title on the Amiga. Considering the Amiga had a very slow processor and I mean, not for when it came out, but for when Doom was around. Like, if you figure the Amiga was running on, say, something like a 7.5 megahertz, 68,000 16-bit processor, sometime around when Doom first came out, most people were running on like 33 megahertz or maybe even 66 megahertz 486s. You could play it on a 386, but it would have been a stretch. So to get something like this, even in a reduced window on the Amiga, pretty good accomplishment. Now, you could put an accelerator into an Amiga and then play something like this full screen. Probably play Doom full screen. But there were other challenges as well. Is it going up or down? It's like it goes. Am I jumping? Oh, that's... I'm ducking and jumping. Okay. Anyway, so go back to the home screen. Cadaver. Yeah. Used to play a lot of California games back in the day. Chaos Engine, that's a fun multiplayer game. Strategy game, combat pilot. They got a good selection of, you know, varying stuff here. Look at the Lost Patrol. Another strategy game. I'm familiar with this one. Yeah, we don't need to play this one. Sure, it's fun, but... Speedball Dreams always good. Project X. It's a shooter. Standard platformers. 3D puzzle games. Simon the Sorcerer. Speedball 2. Stunt Car. Supercars. Oh, that guy shot something out of his car. Guess you can pick up stuff with this one. Yeah, that's one way of getting rid of cars in front of you. Destroy them. So I am terrible at driving with a D-pad racing game, top-down perspective.
Oh, bullshit. Oh my god. Fuck all that. Fox, Worms. Everybody's played Worms. Take a look at Zool. Chips. Why do this again?